The ultimatum. The Voidari ships hung in Earth's orbit like dark monoliths against the blue planet. It had been 18 months since first contact, and Captain Maya Chen still couldn't shake the unease that crept up her spine every time she looked at them through the viewport of Orbital Station Gamma. Quite the view, isn't it? Admiral Hassan appeared beside her, his weathered face revealing none of his thoughts. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure, sir, Maya replied. The Voidari Alliance had arrived without warning, massive ships simply appearing beyond the moon one day. They brought advanced technology, medical breakthroughs, and promises of galactic brotherhood. They also brought rules. Many, many rules. The Security Council meets in 20 minutes, Hassan said quietly. They want your assessment. Maya nodded. As head of Earth's Space Intelligence Division, she had spent the last year analyzing every scrap of information about the Voidari. What she had found kept her awake at night. The Security Council chamber felt like a funeral home. Representatives from Earth's major powers sat around a circular table, faces grim under the harsh lighting. Director General Okafor stood as Maya entered. Captain Chen, please share your findings. Maya activated the holographic display at the center of the table. The Voidari Treaty restricts Earth to vessels under 200 meters, limits our propulsion technology, caps our military ships at 30, and prohibits development of certain weapons technologies. She paused. They claim these measures are standard protocols for integrating new species into the galactic community. And your analysis suggests otherwise, asked the Chinese representative. Maya nodded. I've cross-referenced the limited data we have access to in their archives. 3 other species were given similar restrictions in the past century. All 3 are now effectively client states, their technological development stagnated, their resources extracted, their autonomy practically non-existent. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. What's more troubling, Maya continued, is this pattern I've identified in Voidari patrol schedules. She brought up a new display showing Earth and the surrounding space. They're methodically mapping our entire solar system and have placed monitoring stations at key points. This isn't standard procedure, it's preparation. Preparation for what? Asked the Russian representative. Control, Admiral Hassan answered before Maya could. Or something worse. The room erupted in heated debate. Some argued for diplomatic pushback, others for compliance until Earth was stronger. The American representative slammed his hand on the table. The Voidari ships in orbit could glass our major cities in minutes. What exactly do you suggest we do? Maya exchanged glances with Admiral Hassan, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Project Starshield, she said simply. The room quieted instantly. A theoretical initiative, Maya explained, bringing up schematics on the display. A vessel that adheres to every letter of the Voidari restrictions while violating their spirit. Officially registered as a deep space research platform, but with hidden capabilities beyond anything we've built before. This is madness, the British representative said. If they discover this, they won't. Admiral Hassan cut in. We've selected a construction site in the Kuiper Belt, beyond their regular patrol routes. We'll use automated construction methods, minimal communications, and a cover story of mining operations. Who would even crew such a vessel? Asked the Indian representative. I would, Maya said firmly, along with a hand-picked team of Earth's best, engineers, scientists, tactical experts, people who understand the stakes. Hours of debate followed. The risks were enormous, but the alternative, slow subjugation, was unacceptable. When the final vote came, Project Starshield was approved by a narrow margin. Maya felt the weight of Earth's future settle onto her shoulders. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in a secure bunker beneath the Atacama Desert, facing the 20 individuals who would form the core of her team. They represented a dozen countries, chosen for brilliance rather than nationality. You've all been briefed on the general parameters of Project Starshield, she began. What you don't know is that we have 6 months before the Voidari implement their next phase of restrictions, which will make our project impossible. So we work fast, we work smart, and we leave no traces. Dr. Riya Sharma, India's leading propulsion expert, raised her hand. The engine systems you're proposing push well beyond the Voidari restrictions. How do we hide the energy signatures? That's where Dr. Kwon comes in. Maya nodded toward a quiet South Korean man in the corner. He's developed a method to mask energy outputs using principles reverse-engineered from Voidari shielding technology. And weapons? Asked Colonel Victor Osi, formerly of Ghana's Special Forces. Officially, we're installing mining lasers and asteroid defense systems, Maya explained. Dr. Ivanova has designed them to be upgradable in the field. The Russian physicist smiled thinly. The Voidari gave us their approved list of technologies. They failed to specify how we might combine them. Over the following weeks, the team scattered across the globe, working in isolated cells to develop components that would later be assembled in space. Maya coordinated from a nondescript office in Geneva, maintaining the facade of a mid-level diplomat while directing humanity's most critical project. The first major challenge came 3 months in. The ship's adaptive hull required a rare element the Voidari carefully monitored. Traditional acquisition methods would raise immediate alarms. We need to go deeper, Maya told Admiral Hassan during a secure call. The seafloor mining operation near the Mariana Trench. The Chinese control that area, Hassan replied. And they've been most skeptical of Starshield. Then we need leverage. 2 days later, Maya sat across from General Zhao in a private room at a Geneva restaurant. You're asking China to risk much, Captain Chen, the general said after hearing her proposal. I'm asking China to help save humanity, Maya countered. And in return, we're offering priority access to all technologies developed through Starshield. Zhao studied her for a long moment. There's something you're not telling me. Maya slid a data crystal across the table. The Voidari have already begun preliminary surveys of Earth's rare earth element deposits, including those in China's exclusive territory. Zhao's expression darkened as he reviewed the data. How did you obtain this? We have friends in unexpected places, Maya said simply. The question is, does China stand with Earth or wait to be carved up like the others before us? 3 days later, a research expedition was approved for the Mariana Trench. The Voidari observers were told it was seeking new biological specimens. In reality, specialized drones harvested the elements Starshield needed from the ocean floor. As the materials began moving to the construction site, Maya faced another crisis. Voidari inspectors had increased their random checks of Earth's orbital facilities. One was currently docked at Luna Base, where key components for Starshield were temporarily stored. We can't move the materials now, Dr. Sharma warned over the secure channel, and we can't explain why we have enough quantum stabilizers to equip a ship 3 times the size of what we're allowed. Maya made a quick decision. Activate protocol diversion. Now. 12 minutes later, an explosion rocked an abandoned mining outpost on Mars. As expected, the Voidari inspector at Luna Base immediately departed to investigate the accident. The components were moved within the hour. 6 months into the project, Maya toured the construction site for the first time. The massive ship was taking shape within a hollowed-out asteroid, hidden from prying eyes. Engineer Chief Carlos Reyes guided her through the skeletal framework. We're incorporating Voidari materials where possible, he explained. Makes it harder for their sensors to distinguish from their own technology. But the heart of the ship is pure human ingenuity. Maya ran her hand along a partially completed bulkhead. Will she be ready in time? Reyes hesitated. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, Captain. But yes, she'll fly. Whether she'll do everything we need her to do, he shrugged. That's in the hands of the gods. No, Maya said firmly, looking at the teams working throughout the massive construction bay. It's in our hands. As they walked back to the command center, Maya's communication officer rushed toward them. Captain, we've got a problem. The Voidari are expanding their patrol routes. They'll be within sensor range of our operation in 2 weeks. Maya's mind raced through options. They couldn't move the construction site. They couldn't accelerate the timeline enough to finish before detection. They needed a shield, something to hide an entire asteroid. "Get me Dr. Kwan," she ordered. "And tell Admiral Hassan we need to implement contingency Omega." 3 days later, in a public ceremony broadcast globally, Earth officially declared the formation of the Joint Asteroid Mining Initiative, a multinational effort to develop resources in the outer solar system. The Voidari representatives attended, seemingly pleased at humanity's focus on economic rather than military development. Behind the scenes, the initiative provided perfect cover for the massive energy signatures needed to power Dr. Kwan's experimental cloaking field. When the Voidari patrols swept through the region the following week, they detected nothing but normal mining operations. As Maya stood on the bridge of the half-completed vessel, watching the Voidari ships pass by on the long-range sensors, she allowed herself a moment of hope. Perhaps they could pull this off after all. Perhaps humanity had a future among the stars that wasn't defined by alien chains. But as if the universe itself sensed her optimism, her communication officer's voice cut through the quiet hum of the bridge. "Captain, we have a security breach. Someone's transmitted data from our central core to an unknown destination." Maya's blood ran cold. "Trace it. Now." "Already done," the officer replied, his voice tight. The transmission came from the quarters of Dr. Julian West. One of their own had betrayed them, and potentially doomed Earth in the process. Rising Phoenix. The security team found Dr. West's quarters empty. The brilliant weapons specialist had vanished, leaving behind only an encrypted terminal and questions that threatened to unravel everything. "How bad is it?" Admiral Hassan asked over the secure channel, his holographic form flickering slightly in the command center. "We're still assessing," Maya replied, watching as Nadia Ivanova worked to break into West's systems. "But preliminary analysis suggests he transmitted portions of our weapon schematics and the ship's true capabilities to the Voidari. Unknown. The transmission was bounced through multiple relays. Hassan's expression hardened. "We need to assume the worst." Maya nodded. "I've already ordered acceleration of the timetable. We're moving to 24-hour construction shifts. The diplomatic team will try to buy you time," Hassan said. "But if the Voidari come looking..." The unfinished sentence hung between them. Both knew that discovery now would be catastrophic, not just for the project, but potentially for Earth itself. After Hassan's hologram disappeared, Maya turned to Ivanova. "Any progress?" The Russian physicist nodded, her eyes never leaving the screen. "West was good, but not good enough. I've accessed his personal logs." Her expression darkened as she read. "Captain, you need to see this." The logs revealed a disturbing truth. West hadn't betrayed them to the Voidari. He'd been communicating with a splinter group from another species, the Nelvarans, who had been subjugated by the Voidari generations ago. "They reached out to him 3 months ago," Ivanova explained. "Apparently, they've been monitoring the Voidari's interaction with us. They've seen this pattern before." Maya read through the final entries with growing dread. The Nelvarans believed the Voidari weren't merely planning to subjugate Earth. They intended to use humanity as a weapon. Human adaptability, creativity, and aggression were traits the Voidari wanted to harness and control. "Where is West now?" Maya asked. According to this, meeting with Nelvaran representatives at Europa Station. Maya made a quick decision. "Contact Colonel Osai. I need a small team ready for extraction in 2 hours." The mission to Europa Station was high risk, operating in territory regularly patrolled by Voidari ships. Maya led the team herself, using the supply run as cover. They found West in a secure compartment, meeting with 2 beings whose skin seemed to shift like liquid mercury. "Nelvarans." "Captain Chen," West said, rising quickly. "I can explain." Later, Maya cut him off. "Right now, I need to know exactly what you told them, and what they know." The taller Nelvaran stepped forward. "I am Sentinel Taven, We know the Voidari better than you possibly could. We lived under their protection for centuries before realizing the truth. Which is? Maya demanded. The Voidari are parasites. The second Nelvaran said, voice melodic despite the harsh words. They don't merely control, they absorb. They take species with useful traits and incorporate them into their collective. That's why they restrict military technology, Taven continued. Not from fear of what you might do to them, but to make you vulnerable when the time comes for absorption. Maya studied them carefully. Why should I believe you? In answer, Taven's form rippled, and suddenly a portion of his arm transformed, revealing machinery embedded within organic tissue. Because we escaped this fate only partially, he said quietly. The Voidari began the absorption process with our people before we rebelled. Those who remained behind are now fully integrated, no longer Nelvaran, but Voidari. The implication hit Maya like a physical blow. The Voidari weren't a natural species, they were a composite, built from the best parts of countless civilizations they had encountered and consumed. How long do we have? She asked. The preliminary surveys are complete, Taven replied. Based on historical patterns, the integration phase begins within your month. Maya brought West and the Nelvarans back to the construction site. Their information changed everything, accelerating an already impossible timeline and raising the stakes beyond what anyone had imagined. In the following weeks, construction crews worked until they collapsed from exhaustion. Backup teams took their places. Systems were installed before testing was complete. Compromises were made. Through it all, Maya drove them forward, knowing that failure meant extinction, not just death, but the end of humanity as a distinct species. 17 days before the estimated integration date, Voidari patrols suddenly intensified throughout the solar system. Their ships began methodical sweeps, moving outward from Earth in a pattern that would inevitably lead them to the construction site. They know something, Colonel Osai concluded during the emergency meeting. Perhaps not specifically about Starshield, but they suspect we're hiding something. Can we move the ship? Asked Dr. Sharma. Chief Engineer Rice shook his head. Not in its current state. The structural integrity field isn't fully calibrated. Any significant acceleration could tear it apart. Then we finish it here, Maya decided. How close are we to minimum operational capability? The propulsion systems are at 82%, Sharma reported. Life support is online. Defensive systems are functional, but not at full capacity. And the special project? Maya asked, glancing at Taven. The Nelvaran nodded. The quantum disruptor is integrated with your systems. It will work, but you will have only one opportunity to use it. Maya made the call. We launch in 48 hours. The final preparations were a blur of activity. Systems were brought online before their diagnostic cycles completed. The crew moved aboard while technicians were still sealing bulkheads. Every non-essential component was stripped away, focusing all resources on the core systems they would need to survive. 6 hours before launch, the sensors detected what everyone feared, a Voidari cruiser altering course toward their position. Discovery was now inevitable. Maya stood on the bridge of the vessel, christened Phoenix, watching as her crew took their stations. The ship hummed with energy, systems networking together for the first time. Captain, Reyes called from engineering. We have a problem with the propulsion calibration. We need at least 3 more hours. Maya's gaze fixed on the tactical display, where the Voidari ship grew steadily closer. We don't have 3 hours, Chief. Make it work. As the crew raced to complete final preparations, Maya received an urgent message from Admiral Hassan. The Voidari ambassador has requested an emergency meeting with Earth's Security Council. He reported, face grim. They're claiming we violated the treaty and demanding immediate access to all our research facilities. They know, Maya said. Yes. And they've moved their vessels into low Earth orbit, positioned above major cities. Silent understanding passed between them. The Voidari weren't just coming for Phoenix. They were preparing to force Earth's compliance through threat of devastation. How long can you stall them? Maya asked. 24 hours at most. After that, Hassan didn't need to finish. It's enough, Maya assured him, hoping she sounded more confident than she felt. Phoenix will be ready. 1 hour before the Voidari cruiser would detect them, Phoenix powered up its engines for the first time. The massive ship shuddered as energy coursed through systems that had never operated together before. Structural integrity holding at 94%, reported Lieutenant Park from operations. All critical systems online. Weapons? Defensive systems active, Colonel Osei confirmed. The quantum disruptor is primed but drawing more power than anticipated. Maya took a deep breath. Take us out, Helm. 1/4 thrust. Phoenix emerged from its asteroid cradle just as the Voidari cruiser appeared at the edge of their sensor range. For a moment, the alien vessel seemed not to notice them. Then it suddenly accelerated, weapons systems powering up. They've detected us, Osei reported. Receiving transmissions. They're ordering us to power down and prepare for boarding. Open a channel, Maya ordered. When the communication system chirped in confirmation, she spoke clearly. Voidari vessel, this is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth research ship Phoenix. We are conducting authorized scientific operations in international space. Your presence is noted. The response was immediate. A Voidari appeared on screen, humanoid but wrong somehow, with features that seemed borrowed from different species. Its voice had an unnatural harmonic quality. Human vessel, you have violated treaty restrictions. Power down immediately or face consequences. Maya's expression remained impassive. I assure you, our vessel complies with all technical specifications outlined in the treaty. Our scans indicate otherwise. The Voidari responded. We are now implementing security protocol. Stand down. The transmission cut off, and the tactical display showed the Voidari vessel launching smaller craft. They're deploying boarding parties, Osei warned. Maya nodded. Just as we expected. All stations, prepare for encounter sequence. As the Voidari ships approached, Phoenix remained seemingly passive. The alien vessels surrounded them, preparing docking procedures. They're within optimal range, Ivanova reported from the science station. Maya met the eyes of each bridge officer, then nodded to Taven, who stood beside the specialized control panel. Now, the Nelvaran activated the quantum disruptor. A pulse of energy, invisible but devastating, expanded outward from Phoenix. When it reached the Voidari ships, they simply stopped. Every system froze as the carefully calibrated pulse attacked the unique integration points between the biological and technological components of Voidari systems. It worked, Taven said, surprise evident in his voice. Their bioneural networks are temporarily paralyzed. Helmsman, take us to Earth. Maximum speed, Maya ordered. And open a channel to Admiral Hassan. Tell him we have proof of the Voidari's true intentions and a way to fight back. Phoenix streaked toward Earth, pushing its untested engines to their limits. Behind them, the disabled Voidari ships began to recover, but too slowly to give chase. When they reached Earth orbit, they found chaos. The Voidari command ships had taken up threatening positions above major cities. Global defense forces were on high alert, but hesitant to fire first against vastly superior technology. Maya broadcast on all frequencies, sending the evidence they had gathered, the Nelvaran testimony, the historical patterns, and most crucially, the detailed scans of the Voidari biology that revealed their composite nature. The Voidari aren't allies or even conquerors, she explained to the world's leaders and citizens alike. They're collectors, absorbing species they deem useful. The restrictions they placed on us weren't security measures. They were preparation for harvest. The Voidari ambassador immediately denounced the claims as falsehoods, but the evidence was compelling. When a Voidari commander ordered weapons locked on Shanghai, Phoenix intercepted and disabled the vessel using the quantum disruptor. For 3 tense days, humanity stood at the brink. Then, something unexpected happened. Other ships began arriving in the solar system, representatives from species the Voidari had previously subjugated, but not yet fully absorbed. They confirmed Maya's accusations and offered their own evidence. Outmatched and exposed, the Voidari withdrew, though few believed they were gone for good. 1 month later, Maya stood on Phoenix's observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. The ship, now fully operational and joined by 2 sister vessels under construction, had become humanity's shield and hope. Admiral Hassan joined her, gazing at the planet they had saved, at least for now. "The Voidari will return," he said quietly. "Yes," Maya agreed, "but we'll be ready." "The alliance with the Nelvarans and the others is holding strong," Hassan continued. "Joint defenses are being established throughout the system." Maya nodded. "And the restrictions?" "Gone. The new treaty acknowledges every species' right to self-defense." Hassan smiled slightly. "Humanity is taking its place among the stars on our terms, not theirs." Maya thought of all they had risked and what they had nearly lost. The Voidari had underestimated humanity, our resourcefulness, our determination, and most of all, our refusal to be controlled. "We broke their chains," she said softly, "not just for ourselves, but for all the others they sought to absorb." As new ships, human ships, took up positions in Earth's defense grid, Maya knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vaster and more dangerous than humanity had imagined. But for the first time, they would face it unbound, their future their own to determine. The stars awaited, and humanity would meet them standing tall.